Hello, you all. I'm Diana Brienne, and this is Cynthia Dawson. And we are going to wait for a few moments to see if anyone jumps on. It is Sunday afternoon, and to tell you the truth, I had no idea until just now that we were going live. Lo and behold, I'm going to go over here and share, so I'll talk at the same time. But so this is kind of I guess, unprepared type of live. Yeah, we didn't even know we were coming on, did we?
No, so, we're just winging it.
We are winging it. I should rechange this title later, called a winging it. So okay, I'm sharing out. I'm going to share out here. Share out, Cynthia, if you want to, while we're waiting. Hey, Bruce. Hey, Rich. Welcome. You're all welcome to come up here and join us, and we're going to explain first what happened and why we came on today, because I had no intention of coming on. Live stream, jump on. Okay, so Cynthia, are you sharing?
I am right now.
Okay, let me just go over here. Live stream. What did I just call it? Moments notice. I see jumping on. I can't even type.
I can't either.
Moments notice jumping on, and I'm going to do one. I'm going to go over to my Facebook if I can get it, and I can't get it. All right, let me see if I can get it over here. If I can get it, if it comes up. Let me see if it's streaming. And I can share it out that way. We're going to share it out. Let's go. Share to a page. Because I have a public page for those of you that don't know. And share to a page for some reason. There it goes. And we'll put it there. Okay, got it. Okay, I am back. You know, this is going to be the most disorganized live that I have done because we were not prepared for it. Welcome, Delicious Panda, Jonathan Rosenberry, Rich Phil, DS, thank you for being here. Kimberly, thank you. Vegan Realist, thank you. Kuro Dobb, Bruce Davis, thank you. First of all, we didn't let anybody know. So, go ahead.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. So I did not schedule this. So no one knows we're coming on. It's a spur of the moment type of thing. Lo and behold, we were all due to go on someone else's live, and there's several of us that may pop on here. And the person that we were going on, his live, he couldn't get on. For some reason, he could not send out the stream. And everybody was waiting for him. Everybody was waiting. And so I said, okay. I don't plan on going on for a few days because I'm taking time out to rest and recharge. And I said, but since everybody's waiting, I'll just go ahead and go live. And so at a moment's notice, here we are, Cynthia and I so far. And we don't know what happened to NASCAR. NASCAR was here. We hope Gina is going to jump on. And Judy is supposed to be here, and whoever else wants to come on. So we have nothing important to say other than you can friend connect, we can chit chat, whatever, because this is totally unprepared. And I just got back from a 5-mile run, so I'm a mess. And then when our friend said he couldn't get his channel up and running for the stream, I said, well, I've let everybody know that you're going to be on, so we'll just go ahead and kind of move over to my channel. So I hope that's okay.
It works. And I got to tell you, if you're a hot mess right now, you're a pretty hot mess.
Thank you. Or as we always say, a beautiful mess, right? My husband calls me a beautiful mess, and you know, that's what I call myself. So we're beautiful messes. But Michelle, welcome, Michelle. Thank you for being here. Michelle is a moderator, so she will watch over the channel as well. Lens is here. Jeannie is here. Thank you. And I'm probably missing someone, but I'm surprised if anyone jumps on here today because there was no notice. So, so Manny, welcome, welcome. So you're welcome to connect with each other. You're welcome to friend with each other. No emojis. And no, what else is it? Yeah, you can't use certain words. I don't know what those words are, but YouTube doesn't like them and stuff like that. And just, have fun and be respectful and all that. So, Cynthia, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Woke up this morning and just good. So we're trying to get ready. We have a nephew that we haven't seen for probably 5 years. He's on his way here from Montana on a motorcycle. So that's a long ride. But we're all getting excited to see him.
Okay, I'm going to start letting we got a couple more coming up. Here's Judy. Welcome, Judy. Welcome. Welcome.
Hey,
everyone. Good to see you all. See Deanna, Cynthia, and Judy. Cynthia. I feel like such a bonehead right now.
That's okay, Scott. That's okay. That's okay. You know what? I decided that, I had no intention of coming on. You know that. I'm resting. I'm recharging. I'm doing my 5-minute videos. I'm doing my college work. And then when I realized you couldn't get your stream up and running, I said, well, I knew Judy was waiting, Cynthia was waiting, NASCAR was waiting. And I thought, you know what, we'll just go ahead and go on my channel without a notice. We'll wing it.
I appreciate that. Feel bad.
So we're going to wing it. Welcome, Ivy. Welcome. Who did I miss? I missed Michael. Welcome. Anyway, I'm going to put the stream in here if anyone wants to jump up here too. So let me see.
You're welcome. Welcome, everyone.
Copy.
Scott.
Hello, big fellas.
What was wrong with your stream, Scott?
Scott, what was wrong with the stream?
I kicked myself off my own stream. So I started the stream. Well, and then like NASCAR came up to start, and then somehow I went to go unmute myself, and by accident I removed myself from my stream, so that wasn't cool. And then I went to go back in, tried to get back in, and it said nothing was connected. So I tried to start another one, and it still wouldn't let me do it. So I just restarted my whole computer here, and I'm just happy I was actually able to get on now with you guys.
Wow, that's crazy.
Computers.
When I get off of here, we're going to change the title called to Winging It.
Right.
We didn't
just winging it.
Winging it. Judy, how are you doing?
I'm doing. I've been up and running errands and doing this and that. I won't be able to stay too long. We're putting closet rods in. We've got the whole auger out back to dig holes for the deck.
Hey there, Michelle.
So there's lots of stuff going on, and I'm working on my course, Self-Care Essentials. So I've got to do some videos for that and course materials.
Judy, your place is looking amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, it's coming together so beautiful,
It's getting there, isn't it? Well, after 10 months, it should be.
Well, it's beautiful.
I was gonna set up over on my table here, but I gotta get curtains up so it's not so freaking bright and glary all the time. I should probably take off my glasses too, guys.
Right. Cynthia, how are you doing?
Doing good. I have to keep my glasses off too, so I can't see for spit. But if I have them on, then you can't see. You can't see my eyes.
Hey, Manish, welcome. Hey, Jahoon, welcome. Tin, welcome. Ivy, welcome. Anyone who would like to jump on with us for a moment is welcome to jump on. All you have to do is pick up the live stream. I put it in the chat box. So we would love to have you up here. You can shout out your channel. Okay.
There. Okay, I'm all set up. I've got the
Very
glare
cool.
off my glasses, and we're good to go. No glare. Okay, good.
Good, good.
No glare.
Hey, Judy, Scott, and Cynthia, I'm going to rely on you to read the chat because I can't see it without my glasses.
I know.
And I don't want to wear the glasses. They either keep falling or there's glare. So I'll let y'all just kind of read the
No,
chat.
not a problem.
Say hello to people as they come in, if you will. And like I said, there was no notice for this. This was on the spur of the moment, and we're winging it, and I didn't schedule it. So, you know, most people won't see this until it goes into replay. Yeah. And number two, YouTube is not sharing this out until 12 hours later. And that's when everyone sees this is 12 hours later. And that's when the people, you know, will connect with you and everything like that. But so, yeah, sometimes in life you have to wing it. And sometimes on a moment's notice, you got to be prepared for your opportunities. And and like I said, well, I thought, I don't want to go on. I don't want to go on today. But you know what? One of the biggest things I talked about the other day was just show up. Whether you're ready or not, I'm not ready. Yeah. I'm not prepared. Right. I have nothing prepared, but I just showed up. You know, because you couldn't go on, you know, for your own technical reasons, Scott, because you were having technical problems. So
no, it's all good. Things happen.
Yeah, I'll pick up.
Yeah.
I'll pick up.
Diana, Manny said he couldn't join because he's on break at work.
Manny, well, next time you come on, okay? Can you come on next time? I don't know when the next time is going to be because my birthday is on Tuesday. I was thinking about doing a happy birthday live, and y'all could come up here and sing me happy birthday, you know.
You do not want me to sing to you.
I sound like a foghorn. I bet I'll be 63 on Tuesday. But I'm trying to take time off, not from my daily videos, not from, you know, other people's, because I go on everybody else's lives. I go on maybe 10 lives a day, other people's live streams.
Oh, mackerel.
Yeah. So I'm out there. It's just that with my lives, it takes a little bit more work. When you do your when you're the host, it's more work. So go ahead.
I was just welcoming some of them I saw pop up there.
Thank you. And I'm putting the stream in again. Rich, would you like to come up? Would you like to come up and shout out your channel? Anyone who wants to come up is welcome for a moment to shout out your channel. We would love to have you. You know, that way.
May Ospel Vlogs says it's her first time here.
Welcome.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome, May. Welcome, May.
Now, see, Judy looks so put together, and so does Cynthia. But here,
Ivy says, "Happy birthday, Deanna."
Thank you. You know, the big 60. You know, that's a big number.
Happy birthday.
That's a big number. Judy turned 63, so I'm trailing right behind her, and she's sort of like my big sister. And you know, 63. You sure have come. You know, I'm grateful to be here. You know, I'm just grateful to be alive. I mean, half of my friends are on the other side, you know, and the other half are, you know, broken. And not all of them, but a large portion of them. So I'm grateful to be out there dancing, running, going to college, living a full life. You know, I'm really, really grateful. Almost 63 years old. So
I know. And so I'm in my 64th year, and my first husband died.
I didn't know that because you were 63.
Yeah, well, you call it 64 when you're after 63. Like I've turned 63 back quite a few months ago, but I'm in my 64th year now. So my first husband died a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to one of my bridesmaids from my first husband's wedding party, and I said, so how's so-and-so and so-and-so and that bridesmaid and our friend? And she said, oh, they've all died. And I says, what about my friend Sharon or whatever? And she said, no, they're all dead. And I says, is there any of our friends that we hung out with when I got married alive, and she said, no, they're all dead. So,
Wow.
Oh wow.
so you know, the average person over 40 is on 3 different medications: cholesterol, diabetes, and high blood pressure medication. Of course, I'm on nothing. I'm also a healthcare practitioner. So, you know, and the average person over 40 has health issues, ailments in their body, and I don't have any. So, you know, I think Diana, Brianne, and you and I are sort of the walking Bible, so to speak, of how to remain healthy and keep healthy into your 60s, because now I'm going into my late 60s, and I'm in better weight. Like, my weight is down. I mean, I'm not big anyway, but my weight is perfect for what I am. I'm not holding a bloated belly, right? I'm not holding all that excess fat anymore. And I'm feeling better than I ever have, because it's about spending more time with yourself and self-care. And, you know, that's why I'm starting the new course called Self-Care Essentials. It's about looking after yourself in ways you've never thought of before, emotionally, spiritually, and physically.
Right.
So this is, I'm going to be doing this afternoon, as well as everything else that I'm doing to move into my home here, the 10-month renovational home, is putting this course together, because I think it's imperative for men and women that we look after ourselves more than ever before. We have so many toxic chemicals in the air, in our food, in the materials, in our couches we sit on, in the cars we drive in the air we breathe, in the food. Even if you eat organic, right, you still have toxic chemicals. And then the toxic traumas and the toxic people in your life. Like, if you use hair dye, you got toxins going into your skin. If you shellac nails, right, which I don't, but you got toxic chemicals going into your skin. If you use cosmetics that aren't natural and organic, you know, toothpaste that's whole, like I make my own toothpaste. I make my own everything pretty much, because it's all plant-based anyway. And this is how you stay away from arthritis. Like, all the itises are inflammation in the body. Anything with arthritis, bursitis, arthritis, osteoporosis, all of those things are all inflammation in your body, and they ain't supposed to be there. We're not supposed to be a sick society, but most people just take it for granted. They're supposed to be sick, and the body's a highly tuned healing machine. Anything that happens in the body that produces disease or an injury, you can heal it. Proof of that. There's scientific proof of that. You don't have to have pain and injury in your body if you know how to do it. So back to the self-care, about how important it is. First, you have to know about yourself and the self-care you need with your emotions, which means dealing with your traumas, which means you get a good coach. You get a good, not a therapist. If you take the word therapist and break into 2 words, that'll tell you something. And you get someone who can help you deal with your stuff. And guess what? You start to feel better. You start to change your world around you. You start to not only feel better, you eat better, your traumas, your aches and pains start to go away. And then we're not complaining about how sick we are, or we're not negatively complaining about anything, because we're concentrated more on building ourselves up to be a healthy individual, to live our purpose and our passions. And there, I've said my... Yes. Makes sense, huh?
It does. A lot of the content I was making when I think I started making my first channel was all surrounded about mindfulness and self-care and working on all that stuff within myself and sharing that with everyone. And this is what's working for me, right?
Yep.
So maybe that's why, because I do my best to take care of my body. That's why I'm so useful looking myself. I do the best I can with what I got, but that's what I'm doing must be doing something. So
yeah, you don't look 75, Scott, at all. I must tell you.
Hey, some days I feel 80. Believe me, I do. Some days I feel 80. I don't want to get up. I'm all achy. Joints are all screwy, and I don't want to get up. And I don't want to add out that day, but I get up and I do it. I show up. I just show up, right?
You show up. That's the key in life. You show up. I show up. And there's days that I don't feel like it. There's days that I don't want to. There's days that I'm not at the top of my game, but I show up anyhow. And that's the key to a successful life, is to show up. I go out there and run my 5 miles, whether I feel like it or not. I show up in life, and that's what you got to do.
I think, a lot of that, we don't realize what a lot of that stuff is doing to us, and after I had my accident, they had me on so many pain medications and stuff like that, I literally had days where I had no idea what I was doing. Hi, NASCAR. Had no idea what I was doing. And then I came to the realization, told my husband, I said, they got me taking all this stuff. And I said, it's not doing any good. It's not taking the pain away. So why am I doing this? So I took myself off of it and went through about 3 weeks of withdrawal that were very horrifying. I'm shocked that he's still here, but and that's when we started really looking at more holistic ways to deal with stuff. And it's much better than, being fogged out of your mind, and heaven knows what all those chemicals are doing to you anyway.
Oh yeah, they're wrecking the body, that's for sure. Our bodies were never meant to be in pain.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so for me, when I started into my recovery, I was a few years into my recovery, and I already was having issues with meds and stuff like that, and I ended up in the hospital again, and he tried to give me an antidepressant, and it was worse. It was worse.
Yeah, I know.
Then my body was not used to any kind of foreign substance at all. It's always like I took one pill and I was like a walking zombie for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's about. I got a bad reaction to take any kind of medication.
Yeah, they had me on those fentanyl patches, and we didn't know what were at the time, but they put me on them, and then I would go back in, and I was like, I don't know. I said, like, the first couple of days it seemed like it helped. Now it's not doing anything. I said, oh, well, we just need to increase it. They increased it on me 3 times, and I would wake up in the morning and find like a skillet in my bathroom sink. I would find stuff out in my living room. I was up at night doing stuff that I had no idea I was doing any of it. That was horrifying and scary. It really was.
I know. And I always advocate as a healthcare practitioner and as a coach/counselor. I always make sure there's an advocate for anyone who has to undergo any type of pain management system, or anyone that's recovering from any sort of disease, or anyone that's on a medication. There always needs to be an advocate between you and the doctor, you and the hospital, because you are not of sound mind to make these decisions for yourself.
Right.
And and you don't know, laying in a hospital bed or laying sick in your bed, what you need. I mean, your own worst friend when you've got a cold and a fever and you just keep saying, I'm sick. And yet if your child was sick or your mother was sick, you'd know to get the chicken soup out, to get the mustard plaster, to get right? But you don't do that when you're sick, because the brain chemistry changes, because your immune system is so busy trying to heal you that it doesn't have time for logic. So you need an advocate for anything to do with your health when it's being compromised in any way, shape, or form. So make sure, if I can give some really, hi, Johnny. If I can give some great, advice, is get yourself an advocate or two. So a friend, a family member, someone you can rely on in case anything happens to you. Like, do you have a do not resuscitate anywhere?
My
third husband, sorry. Mother was dying. Or was it the 5th husband? I can't. Anyway, my mother-in-law was dying, and we had a DNR put on there. But the sister flew in from New York, and she's like, no, we have to rescue her. We can't let her die at 80 years old, who's just had a massive heart attack. And there was this fight in the room where my mother-in-law was dying. So there was no advocate there. There was no family planning. There was no sort of sense of, here's what needs to happen. Like my kids know that if something would happen to me, this is what needs to happen. This is what I need for myself for self-care. because I won't be able to do it for myself.
Mhm.
And at one point or time or another, all of us fall into that category of not being able to self-care for ourselves because of something that's going on in our lives.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know, whether we fall down and break an
Like
arm.
if there is a DNR, it'll come down to like down to comfort care, just to make them make sure they're comfortable
Of course.
and
Of
stuff
course.
like that.
And
If
that's
there
part-
if
that's
there
part
if
of-
there isn't if there is a DNR in place, right?
Right. And that's part of what I'm teaching too about ascension, about what's happening on this planet, is to be aware, ask questions. Don't believe what you see out there. Don't believe what you hear. Do your own research,
Mhm.
ask questions. Why do we put our hands in someone else's hands? Yes, doctors have been glorified for years, but we're starting to learn that doctors only have read a textbook that was made by a man years ago. They don't know how to heal.
Yep.
They know how to put something on a symptom.
No.
They know how to band-aid a symptom. They're not healers, right?
Yeah.
That's why they have a practice. They practice medicine. They
No.
practice medicine, and medicine is not healing. Medicine is the band-aid solution. You know,
Yeah,
so this is where we're starting to understand
Medicine, a theory.
healers.
You know, in my law
Yeah.
class that I'm taking, last night I had to write a paper, and it was on cause and effect, and I had to talk about that. And I said, you know, when you have a headache, that is the effect. That's the symptom. The headache is the symptom, but that's not the cause. But people often are trying to cure the headache when they're not really getting to the underlying problem. And so I wrote a paper on that last night. And Judy, that is so absolutely right. Absolutely.
Well, it's like what I said, your body's a fine-tuned healing machine. It's extremely intuitive. And how many people are on high blood pressure medication? And where did those numbers come from? High blood pressure is a sign, is a symptom that there's something wrong in the body. So for instance, if you're in extreme pain, your blood pressure levels are up here. If you're calm and you've had a meditation, your blood pressure is way down here. If you've had a shock, like a family member dies or something, your blood pressure goes way up here. And never mind where your blood pressure is if you're having sex. It's off the charts. So your blood pressure goes up and down all day long because it's a regulator. It regulates your body to stay in homeostasis. So if your blood pressure is elevated because you go into a doctor's office and it's a cold, stark doctor's office, sterile, your blood pressure is going to be up because you probably rushed there not to be late, and there's sick people around you, and so your blood pressures go up, and they take one blood pressure and they say it's up, medication, and we believe them. We believe them. So, you know, I've been an advocate for so many years to find out about healthcare. What is healthcare to you? What does it mean to your family? Do you believe everything you see, read, and hear? Or are you an advocate for yourself? And that's part of what my self-essential care course is going to be about too. And what I help my clients with, you know, that your body knows what it needs. Speaking of headaches, so if you have a headache, why run to the cabinet and get an aspirin for it? Because all you're doing is putting a Band-Aid on
water.
You just stop, you breathe 3 times, you tune into your higher self, which is a whole other subject of intuition. Because when you listen to your higher self, your intuition, you always know what's right for you. You tune in and you ask what your body needs. Why is that headache there? What do I need to know? And headaches are always about thinking way too much and being stressed out. Always. Always. So yes, Cynthia.
You know what's really funny about the blood pressures, though, and this is kind of what got me to where I started debating what they're telling me. I mean, my husband he had 3 heart attacks here about a year ago, and he ended up having to have a stent put in, you know, so they're constantly talking about his blood pressure and stuff. But then when I went, I had to go in, I think last summer, my appendix. So I had to have emergency surgery, and they had me hooked up to all their machines and stuff. So I'm in pain, I'm stressed out, and I'm facing a surgery I didn't want, you know, blah, blah, blah. My blood pressure should have been skyrocketing. The machine kept going off. My blood pressure was running 80/50, and they were freaking out. And I'm like, look, I saw your machine's acting out. I'm not having an issue here. It just have this pain. That's all I have. And they were like, no, no, no. And they were freaking out about it. And one of them said something about putting me on something to elevate my blood pressure and stuff. And I'm like, no, mine runs low normally anyway. And so then when the surgeon came in, I'm like, they're all freaked out over this blood pressure. I said, are you worried about that? She said, listen, your pulse is not racing, you know, blah, blah, blah. She named up all this stuff. She said, that blood pressure is working for you. She said, for somebody else, it wouldn't, but she said, it's working for you. So she said, they just got to put up with the machine beeping, you know? And I was like, but the first thing they want to do, they give me medication, raise that, you know, change that. And I'm like, no, it's fine.
But that's what they're trained to do. And they've taken an oath. They've taken an oath to uphold their medical prescription Bible. And nurses are taught the same thing because they don't know any other method of healing. Yeah. All they know is to put something to a symptom, and it's usually a drug, as we're well learning, right? And I'm not condemning doctors by any means. I mean, if I break my arm, where am I going to go, to a healer? Yeah, I'll go there, but I'll also go to the doctor who's been trained in setting my arm properly.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
And then I'll do energy healing on it. I mean, I do energy healing with my clients all around the world. I've done it for years. I mean, my youngest daughter had about 35 warts on her hand. For years, she would put Band-Aids on them every day to go to school because she's in grade 6, and it's embarrassing, right, for her to have all these warts. And she was just crying one night, and I said, okay, let's just get rid of them. And I healed them up, and the next morning they were gone. So we all know how to do energetic healing. And I love to teach this for my clients, you know, and I'll be teaching it in the Self-Care Essential course as well. And I'm just thinking, if anybody's interested in that, I'm going to put in the links here as a way to get on the mailing list if you're interested in being part of the Self-Care Essential course. There's so much information to learn in there about
Judy, what are your Facebook, what is your, can you let them know what your Facebook pages are, so that connect with you as over there as well as here on YouTube, because you have a large audience over on Facebook.
Yeah,
and
but 8,000
over here.
Yeah, but 8,000 people on Facebook. And my Facebook is my name, Judy K. Martini. You can put that in, and you can message me through there as well. Yeah, there's about 8,000 on Facebook, and I don't know how many on Instagram, but I used to do a lot of Facebook. But I do a lot of one-on-ones for instead of social media now. I think, you know, that interconnection between one-on-one's so important. We've lost that connection, you know, of having an intimate relationship with people, and social media and selfies and, you know, texting has taken away that interpersonal connection, which, you know, we really need to bring back if community is going to sustain itself, continue to sustain itself like it has been. Right. All right. So I'm going to run, guys, because I've got renovation stuff to do, but it was great talking to everybody and being here, and thanks to everybody who's on here, and I'll put that.
Judy. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. And
have a good day.
Bye-bye, Judy. Bye-bye.
Bye, Scott. Bye, Cynthia. Thank you.
Wonderfully.
Bye, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.
So I wonder what happened to NASCAR. I hope NASCAR comes back on. He had some noise in the background and was trying to get rid of it. So he, a lot of technical difficulties today.
Yeah.
So yes, Scott. So you came on. You had your technical difficulties. Did you get it straightened out before once I came on, or is it still a problem?
I could possibly go try to fix it again, but I'm here with you right now. It's up to you how long you want to stay on.
Right. I'm going to chat a little bit,
or I can.
And we're just going to chit chat here. And Judy just put in her link. It says join my journeys and updates with your email and stay connected to her. So she put that in there. Welcome, Dawn. Welcome to see you. Hey, Falcons fan. How's golfing going? Falcons fan is my son. So he's out golfing. Yeah, he's out golfing. So yeah, but that's why it's normally hard for me to get on here, because I have a family and it's a very, very noisy household here. And so I kind of have to plan my days around my family and what they're doing. So now, Cynthia, how many kids do you have living with you right now?
2 teenagers are here now, but there's 5 of them altogether.
Okay. And where do you do your live streams at? Because I got to find another part of my house where I can be kind of isolated.
You know what I did was I just set up a corner in my bedroom, and then I put this lovely curtain here behind me, and so now it's the family rule. If they come to my room and that curtain is drawn, they need to be quiet and go do something.
Right. Well, I need to do something like that. The problem that we have is that the computer is hardwired in here, and we really need that for the lives because they cut out when they're not hardwired in my house.
Yeah.
And so that's my problem. So, and my office is not, the lighting is not conducive for the lives, and it's too squished in there. So I can do them in my sunroom or my bedroom, but there again, they get cut off. So I think when I do the lives in there, I'm going to do them like at night when I'll be on a shorter amount of time. And I think that might be better. But yeah, so let me see. Shar is welcome. Anyone else that I have missed, welcome. And like I said, sometimes in life you have to wing it. And we did not really have a set agenda to talk about today. Normally Cynthia comes on and does her makeup. Now, Scott, on your channel today, you were going to talk, before you had the technical glitch, you were going to talk about, what was the subject?
What are your channel goals? And let's reach them.
Yeah.
So Cynthia, what are your channel goals?
The biggest thing is I'm finding it, the level that I'm at now, which is I'm a level 54 now. I do not use that word.
Level. Yeah, you level up now. Yes,
that's
that's what I say. I level up. I'm level 46.
I am winning this game.
I am level 29, okay? Level
Awesome.
My body is a level 54. I think internally I'm stuck at about a level 30. So,
Yep.
But, after I had my accident and stuff, I really, I fought with a lot of things like not useful anymore. What am I going to do now? I'm not working now. I spent a year in bed, literally, because I just felt no worth anymore. And I hate that. I hated that for me. I hated it for my family. I had to put up with it. But I talk to people all day long, and it's the same thing. It's, they feel like once they hit that certain level, it's time to sit in a rocking chair, and just that. And it's like, no, don't do that, So, I kind of just like to share, what I went through and where I'm at now and the things that are going on. I started teaching myself how to play piano a year ago. It's not, your level doesn't stop you. And I do use, I very much am into skincare and makeup, obviously, but it's just another, it's another method or another tool to use to, talk to people and, things like that. So I don't want somebody to sit around feeling like I did for a year with no one who understands. Like, my husband, he was very caring. He was very supportive. He did everything under the sun he could for me, but he does not live with pain 24/7.
Yes.
Doesn't understand it, and so, it's like when I was pregnant with my children and I would go to my male doctor and he'd be like, oh, I know how you feel. I understand. No, you don't. You have no idea.
How bad it is, right? And when you go through something, when I went through my brain aneurysm 10 years ago, that was so frightening and I was so scared. And up until that point, even though I was always sympathetic, compassionate, I had no idea what other people were feeling when they were facing death. And
Right.
I didn't know if I was going to live, if I was going to die, if I was going to make it. I didn't know what was going to happen in my life. And it was the most frightening time. And I remember driving, because I could still drive. And because my husband was up here and I was down there and with the kids, and they were totally dependent on me. We didn't know that I had a brain aneurysm. I knew I was sick. So I was driving around, and I remember looking over at other cars, and I would say, they look so happy. They look so happy. And I think I'm dying. They don't know what it's like to feel like they're dying. They're just going along listening to music, chilling out. And if I turned the radio on, it just grated on me at that point. My whole body was in a mess. And music bothered me. Everything bothered me. I couldn't watch TV. I was so sick. And so when you go through a crisis, whether it's pain like Cynthia, whether it's a crisis like I went through, whether it's what Scott went through, unless you've been through it, you won't fully understand it, but you can be compassionate and understand it to the best of your ability. So I may not have experienced what you've experienced, but I can be compassionate and understand it.
Absolutely. And
never diminish it or minimize someone's pain, because that's where
I think it is. I think a lot of people confuse compassion and understanding together, and they're not the same. It's very different. Yeah.
No, they're not. And, or the worst thing is, oh, you'll get over this. Or I had a cousin who had the same thing, and they were just fine. Sometimes sometimes we have to know what to say to someone who is sick. And when someone's sick, they often don't need encouragement. They need just someone to hold their hand and listen to them, because they're scared. When you're sick, you're scared. And I have to tell you, I've always been the strong one. I've always been the person who was so strong. And when I was sick, I was so scared. I was so scared. And, and also you will find out who your friends are and who your friends are not. And I have to tell you a funny little story. So I was in Georgia, and my husband was 8 hours away, and so he couldn't be there. And here we didn't know what was going on with me. I was going to 17 different doctors. They couldn't figure it out. I was so sick. I was getting worse. And I remember I needed someone to kind of be there with me in case something happened to me. My kids were little. And so we had this friend from church. We call him the 100-year-old man in orthopedic shoes. And he literally looked like he was a 100-year-old man. He was a short little man. And he came over and he became like the butler, and he cooked and he cleaned the house, and he was wonderful. But he was sick too. And he would trip. One day he tripped over his feet and he fell. And I went to pick him up. He said, "Oh, no, don't worry. I bounce." And he had this little dog, and its name was Peach. And so we had a mother-in-law suite, and Pappy, as we called him, would stay in the mother-in-law suite. And Pappy would, the little dog would stay in there, and the dog would watch Charlotte's Web. And so when the tape ran out for Charlotte's Web, the dog would bark, and we'd have to go rewind the tape and put it on again. So, there were good moments in my drama and my crisis too. I met a lot of wonderful people, but also there were people that bailed on me too. When you get sick, they disappear. And I had those kind of people too. And not many, but I had a few, but people don't understand when you're sick, when you're going through something, unless they've been through it. So whether it's whatever it happens to be, or like when, I remember one time, a friend of mine, she had 3 little kids, and her husband went and he was the perfect husband, by the way. He went and had an affair, came back and said, "Hey, I'm putting you in the minivan. Here's $100. You're off your way back to Iowa." And there she was with 3 little kids after 11 years of marriage in a minivan going back to her family in Iowa. And he ran off with the other woman. So, we don't understand sometimes what someone is going through and what it's like unless we have been through it. But we can be compassionate.
And one of the things I figured out too is that, your mindset your mindset is a huge part of it. And that was where I really got stuck for quite a while. My mindset was not right. All I could focus on was what was wrong, what hurt, what, and stuff like that. But once kind of started getting that mindset in a little bit better a place was good. I think you two have heard me tell this story, but I was out one day because of the damage in my spine. My left leg doesn't work right all the time. So it often just chooses to not function. And so I was outside and I was, in my chicken house, and I was doing some stuff with him, and my husband was in the next shop over. He was in his wood shop. And I came out of the chicken house and went to step down the step, and my left leg said, nope, not today. And I was just like, slap, face first. I was covered in mud and chicken dew. It was everywhere. I was sitting there, and I looked over at my husband standing in the end of his shop, and he's like, you okay over there? And I said, people pay for mud baths. I just go on for free. I just got to a point where, I still have some days that are really bad. But for in general like that, you just got to laugh about it. You just got to go on. It doesn't do any good for me emotionally, just sit around and cry about it,
I remember you're talking about that. And I remember, when I first got sick and they didn't know what it was, because it took them about 5 months to diagnose me. They put a heart monitor on me for about a month. I had to wear a heart monitor, and it was a big box. And so my youngest son was in 5th grade, and he had practice football. And it was very, very hot in Georgia, about 113 degrees that summer. It was really hot and humid. There was no trees out there. And I remember us walking out there every day with his equipment, and I had this box on me, and it would fall off, and all the little pads that go with it would fall off, and then in the middle of the night it would come on, and I would have to the 1-800 number would call me and say, are you okay? And I'd say, yes, I am. They couldn't tell me what was on the thing, so I was scared. And you just go through so much, you go through so much, and it's you just have to get through it. There are things in life that you can't go around. Some things you can go around, but a lot of times in life you have to go through it. And sometimes it's you that's got to go through it. And it's terrible, terrible, terrible when you've got to go through something. And often people don't understand. They look at you like you're crazy, or what's going on, or, whatever the case may be. And some people are not compassionate. Some people are actually rude. And so we've got to remember that whatever situation you're in, you're going to meet all kinds of people. The most interesting thing is you're going to see people that you never thought would ever step up to the plate for you, and that care. That's see, you'll meet, a crisis, you will lose friends and you will make friends. You will make, and it will bring about, you will find out who the real people in your life are during a crisis, and who the wrong ones were there all along, and they run and hide.
Oh yeah, that's where empathy and compassion are intermingled, right? You can, So for me, it's empathy. So we're talking about illness and disease and stuff like that. Just because people can't see the pain or the illness, they disregard that, right? They'll disregard that. They won't have that compassion, and they'll put you down, or they'll make you feel less than, right? So, and I don't want to be that person. I want to make sure that people know that they're acknowledged, and I'm not going to ignore the fact that's because I can't see their disease or their affliction or whatever it is, or their disability doesn't mean they're any less than anyone else on this freaking planet.
I have been verbally assaulted on many occasions when I go to Walmart in my F-350 and park in the handicap spot. And people will be like, what? Where is right? You should not be parked there, because other people is like, you should have taken 30 seconds and looked at my license plate first. You would see that I have disabled tags on there.
Yep.
I'm sorry that I didn't get mangled, so you can see it, but it's there. But the thing that shocked me the most, though, in general, like out in public and stuff like that, is that adults male or female adults would see me coming or trying to get through a door or something with, with my crutches and stuff like that, and just walk through that door and just, not hold the door for me, like a common courtesy we were taught is. But children would see me coming and run back and grab that door. And as I say, a lot of times we can learn so much from children, because they have that, care, that concern about other people, where adults are just, some adults are just all about me, that doesn't affect me, go, but yeah, it just blows my mind that the children are the ones who come and not the adults.
I know this next generation is coming up is super smart. I learn a lot. I learn a lot from the younger this younger generation. They're growing up. I think it's the fact that they've had to grow up. They're having to grow up super fast. They've had to, and they're already going through all these life experiences that we didn't go through until we were in our older years.
Right. It's a shame. It's a shame that younger kids are not having a childhood. We played outside. We didn't play on tablets and games. And growing up, we had one TV channel with rabbit ears, and we watched whatever was on there. We had a rotary phone with party lines. And we had we had no microwaves, everything, we didn't have a lot of choices. And I mean, we had one car and it barely ran. And, sometimes I think when you have less, you do so much better. Kids today, I think our society is in trouble because people are expecting and demanding. They've had too much, and people have had too much. And I think I'm grateful for the least little thing in my life because I've been through so much. But when you haven't had to earn what you've got and it's been given to you, you don't appreciate it.
Yep.
1 second.
Yeah, you can appreciate it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about because I used to go outside. I used to be outside all day long. And I mean, you grew up on the farm. So some of it was, farm work, but some of it was riding horses and just you stayed outside as long as you possibly could, because if you went in the house, mother might, find something for you to do in there. We never ever told our parents we were bored. If we told them we were bored, they would find something worse for us to do, and the kids now that, they get upset with me when I'm like, put the electronics down. I don't care what you do, put them down, get outside, stay outside, go, just go.
Absolutely. And I think kids today, they're so addicted. They have 400 TV channels and they don't know what to watch. We had one TV channel and we were grateful. Kids today are, playing these. They're looking down at their phones. You go to a restaurant, everyone's looking at their phones. You go to church, everyone's looking at their phones. Yeah. And my kids grew up. I'll tell you how my kids grew up. My kids grew up. There was the Christian Broadcasting Network has Saturday morning cartoons. Those were the cartoons that they got. They got the old time cartoons. I had, Popeye the Sailor Man. Right.
The good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff.
PJ.
My kids had all the good stuff growing up. They were raised in church. They were taught manners. They were taught to be respectful of the elderly and of the older people, anyone older. My kids today do not call anyone more than 5 years older than them by their first name. They call them like Miss Diana, Miss Cynthia, Mr. Scott. My kids are all young adults, and they call people with a Mr. or Miss in front of it. They've been taught that. That's how we do in the South. Kids are so, so much rudeness is going on today. Parents are not doing their job. It's not the kids' fault. It's the parents' fault. They're not doing their job. They're afraid to say no to their kids. And instead of giving them their time and their love, they're giving them material things, and they have to have the latest shoes. I wore my brother's boots to school for a year because we had no shoes. I had no shoes. I wore my brother's clothes to school. I got the hand-me-downs. We didn't have thrift shops. We had hand-me-downs.
Right. I worked milk in my shoes and my boots.
Yeah, we did not. Yeah.
You know what? It did. Every winter, when it started getting wintertime, Mom would start talking about, what we were going to do for winter coats and stuff like that. And I would run to my dad, and you have to understand, like, I'm like 5 foot something, and my dad's like 6 foot something, and I would go to my dad and I'd say, Dad, do you have one of your flannel shirts that you don't want anymore? And he'd be like, we do this every year. And I was like, I know, but, and so he would go in there and dig. Now, these flannel shirts were like massive, but that's what I wore for a coat every winter because they were lined flannel shirts and it was big. So it let me keep that body heat in there, stuff. And I did that. But on the TVs, now look, Diana, did you guys not have the Polar Bear channel? We had that at our house. It was 2 polar bears fighting in a snowstorm, We had that.
I had no idea, but I know that we were the poor people, and
Right.
And you know what? Growing up poor really did me a lot of good. I know how to survive. I know how to make something from nothing. We were taught to make something from nothing, whether it was a meal or anything else. Now kids today look in the refrigerator and they don't know what to eat, and their parents don't teach them how to cook. I was cooking at 6 years old, and I would have my mother clean houses at 6 years old.
Wow.
And all of my kids got chores growing up, and my adult kids still get chores. My youngest son, who is 20, he does the rug scrubber and the hardwood floors in my house. My oldest son does the outside windows, except for some days I go back over and do what he did, because it's never good enough for me. So I never tell him that, but I go out and finish the windows. And but my kids help me. My kids are wonderful that way. They are always helping me.
Yeah, it's a different thing now, and my, we have a nephew living with us now, and things were done differently at his house than they're done here. And so he came in the other day and the other evening, and I was sitting in there cooking. And so I got my pan on the stove and I'm tossing stuff in there. And he said, what are we having for dinner tonight? And I was like, whatever ends up in that pan, I don't know. I'm just putting stuff in there. But, but because like when my kids were little, we had a $350 a month income and my rent was $250. You learn to look in those cabinets and figure it out and put it together. And then the kids figured out, we're eating that. We don't care what it is. We're eating that, and so today they will, the boys are all in their 30s. They will try new things. They will eat new things that, they are much better even than I am. But the younger kids are like, ew, what? No. And I'm like, eat it or starve. That's what I used to tell boys.
SOS. Stretch your
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do with a bag of potatoes. I can take a bag of potatoes and create several meals out of that bag of potatoes. Fried green tomatoes. You can take pickles and dip them in dressing. Yeah.
Yep. Fried green tomatoes and fried green tomatoes and fried dill pickles.
Oh, I love them. I love both.
I can eat that all day, every day.
My favorite food is fried green tomatoes. My second favorite food is fried pickles. I love, love, love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah.
And the other thing I do, my mama taught me, is to make homemade noodles. All you need is flour,
Easy.
a couple eggs, water, and some salt, and you roll it out, and you make it in a big ball, and you roll it out, and then you cut it, slice it, and put it in hot boiling water. So awesome. And you put butter on them, and that will make a whole meal, and it doesn't cost you hardly anything at all.
Cool.
Right, exactly. And the thing a lot of people don't understand about those homemade noodles or that homemade pasta like that is like when you buy that store-bought pasta, and you have to, and it's got to be in there like a while to get that softened up. But when you make that fresh pasta like that, I mean, it's like you better have everything else ready to go because it'll be like, poof, done, ready to go,
Yeah. Do you have a pasta maker, Cynthia?
I do. I learned how to make pasta by hand first because I feel like that's important. You need to know how to do the things without any of the tools, in case something happens and the tools are not there. But then, yeah, once I got the hang of it, you know, by hand, then yes, I absolutely, I've got a pasta thing that hooks to my KitchenAid, so we can run spaghetti through it real quick, or, you know, whatever pasta we're trying to do. But yeah, I like to do that. And that's why I started doing a lot of the, you know, the cooking videos and stuff like that. I think a lot of people don't understand how easy some of that stuff is.
Oh, it's easy. It is.
Yeah.
And it's cheap.
Yeah.
You know, I will never forget when my husband and I, this is like 30 years ago, we first moved to Europe. And I said to him, I said, Brooke, I'm going to put us on a budget, $75 a month for groceries. Do you know that we ate wonderful on that $75? And what I remember the most is we were going to Italy, and we had our green pickup truck, and we were driving from Bavaria down to Italy, and we were in Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein, it's a country, a very small country.
Yep.
And it was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And we sat out in the back of the truck with my picnic basket, and I had made bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches on homemade bread.
Oh.
And I will never forget that. And I have that all on video, and that's 30 years ago, of us sitting in the back of the truck eating these sandwiches that I had made to save money. And we, on that whole trip, we had picnic baskets that I had brought so that we would eat. And we did Europe on hardly any money at all. We went everywhere in Europe. We loved it. We went over to France and laid under the Eiffel Tower with baguette bread. And, you know, we've had all these experiences, but you can do them so cheaply.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Homemade bread is one of my favorite things to make because it takes precious little, and in fact, I have instead of having a regular loaf pan, I have a double loaf pan, and so I have one bread recipe I can make that fills both of those, which is the equivalent of 4 loaves of bread, and it's maybe the cost of 1 loaf of bread in the store, you know. Yep.
Absolutely. You can make homemade bread. I mean, people today want everything instant. And, you know, we grew up, we didn't have instant anything. And everything was made from scratch because we were poor. And so, you know, I remember growing up, we didn't have food stamps. And so we had a car that most of the time only drove in reverse. And it was like a 1956 Chevy. And so my brother and I, we would get in the car, and I was 6 years old and he was 16, and he would drive the car. We were like, you know, we felt like bandits, you know. And I would be on the lookout for the police to make sure we didn't get pulled over going in reverse, so we could get to the courthouse to get our box of commodity food. And so we would go up to the courthouse steps, and in that commodity box was like Spam, treat, some milk, some eggs, some flour, some sugar, some coffee, and maybe a piece of meat if you were lucky. And we had an apple tree in the back. Our fruit came from the trees, and you know, and I would carry that box down those big steps and put it in the car, and we would drive back home in reverse, you know. And we would go out and we picked our apples from the apple trees, not from an orchard, but just from a tree we had in the yard. Or we would go berry picking along the railroad tracks, the wild blueberries or blackberries or raspberries. You know, they were wonderful.
Diana, you're not going to believe this. So my husband came up here the other day when I was mowing, and he was like, hey, he said, you got to come go for a ride with me. And I was like, oh, okay. And we've got like a utility vehicle that we ride around on the farm with. And he said, you got to come with me. He said, I got to show you something. And I'm like, okay. And so we started driving out through the field and stuff. And he was just pointing.
How you doing, Robert? Matt, thank you.
Blackberry bushes, all, because, you know, the birds eat, and then they go, you know. I mean, to tell you, we'll pick blackberries this summer until we want to scream bloody murder.
I love them. And, you know, also, Cynthia, you may know this. Now, my daddy, he used to pick dandelions. He grew up real poor, and he made dandelion salad. And I still haven't done it yet because I don't know how quite to do it. But I'm hearing about dandelion tea. I'm hearing about, so I want to make dandelion salad.
Yeah, you can make a dandelion jelly, too.
I heard that. And so I'm going to start picking the dandelions, because when I run in the morning, there's all kinds of dandelions. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll start picking them. But I grew up, we had a swimming hole. We had a train that came by my grandma's house, and it had a real caboose, and we would wave to the conductor. Yep. My grandpa went out and he fished in the pond, and we had catfish that had the bones to it, so we wouldn't choke. We had to be careful, but it was all so good. It was so simple. And today people don't understand that beauty and simplicity. And our world is being shook up. And I think people are going to have, without going into all the drama that's going on, I don't want to go into that. But I think people are in for a rude awakening. And I think that people are going to realize that, they're going to be grateful. People take everything for granted right now. They want more and more and more, but they're going to be happy just to hold on to anything that they've got at some point, I believe, in many, many situations.
Right. Yeah. And that's what we have really made. We have made it a point, that the kids have learned how to do these things, that they know how to grow gardens, and they know how to, if necessary, go out and get meat, whatever the objective is, it's there, because this was all normal daily life stuff for us. It wasn't that we were trying to be all natural or whatever. We ate vegetables because that's what we grew in our garden. We ate meat because we raised cows. It's just, but I got this for you. Do you eat butter, Diana?
Let me show you what kind of vegan I am. I'm a vegan at home, but if we go to a restaurant, if we go to friends' houses, I will eat whatever they serve. So yes and no. At home, I don't. And yes, when I go out, if you make me a meal and it contains that, I will. I grew up on butter, but actually I grew up on oleo because we were poor. And so oleo was poor people's butter. And so, and it is not healthy for you, but I grew up on that. And so when my husband and I were first married, he was a butter person and he refused to have margarine or oleo. So one day I tricked him and I put the margarine I put the oleo in the butter thing. And he said,
"Oh no."
I said, "How's your butter?" He said, "It's delicious." He said, "I told you that butter is so much better than margarine." And he still to this day doesn't believe I substituted margarine for butter for margarine. Yeah, it was a trick. I played on him.
But this is one of the things, though, is that, you got to keep learning and keep, figuring out new ways to do things. And my son was telling me here a while back, he said, well, he said, you can fix your butter so you can keep that in a jar on your counter and then it doesn't have to take up space in your refrigerator. And I said, no, you can't do that. I said, it'll go bad. You can't do that. What's he call that? Doing it to,
clarifying the butter.
Clarifying the butter. And so you can put it on your stove and run it at a low temperature and stuff. And all of a sudden it will separate out and put that milk fat on the top. And then you can just scrape that off. And what you're left with is a clarified butter that tastes better and it won't go bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I always. Huh?
I can learn a lot from you.
But yeah, so, I like learning new things like that. And I try to take something every year that like my grandparents used to do in the norm and learn how to do that, because I'm in the same place you are. I think one of these days.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think people are going to be grateful. I think we as a society have gone and we've lost our spirit of gratitude, not us personally, but society as a whole. People are demanding, they expect everything. They're not grateful, they're not thankful. And I think we're reaching a plateau, and then a downward cycle. In my opinion, these are only my opinions, but I believe that we are likely to be a very grateful society because we're going to have less. And I think sometimes less is more. And I just see such ungrateful people, especially the younger generation. And, you know, they don't know any different. They think it's, you know, everything is just given to them. And my kids don't. All three of my kids have jobs. All three of my kids worked since they were 16. They've always had jobs. They help around the house. They save their money. You know, my kids are responsible, but they're more the anomaly than the mainstream, you know. Yeah. And, you know, I don't know. I think we're in for some tough times ahead. And so I have a garden. I'm, you know, I'm like my grandma. I have a food cellar, you know, a food cellar, one of those food sellers. And nowadays they call them preppers or stalkers or whatever.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, preppers. Yeah, that's.
I'm just, you know, save my stuff.
You know what? Being stocked up, having your house stocked is normal and right.
Yes.
That's different than hoarding, you know. So when a lot of this stuff was going on, people were like, well, you're a hoarder. No, I'm not a hoarder. I didn't go out because of all the stuff that was going on and buy this stuff. This is stuff I have in my home all the time, you know. So, and there's a big difference. And I think people are going to kind of have to get there, you know, and some of it's economics. I can go buy a 50-pound bag of flour and it costs me a fraction of what buying all those little bags in the store cost. Plus I got it on hand, you know. So we were taught to watch our pennies like that when we were kids too, you know. It was like this, what my mom and dad's favorite saying always was, money does not grow on trees. You know, and I was like, that's right.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, today, in today's home, kids are running the house. Parents are listening to the kids, and parents need to be parents, you know. Kids don't want another friend. They want a parent. And parents today want to be their kid's best friend, but they don't want to be a parent. And I'm a parent. I've always been a parent. My kids know that I'm a mom, I'm a parent, and I have no desire to be their friend. I have a great time with my kids. We have a tremendous great time. We have a lot of fun all the time. Their whole life, mom's been a fun mom, but I've been a mom, not a friend. And so they say, my mom is so much fun. And everybody says, I want a mom like your mom. You know, one day I pulled up in the convertible. I have a convertible, and this has been a couple years ago. And I pulled up to school, and the next day everyone told my kids, I want a mom like that. I want a mom like that. She's a fun mom. But I was always a mom. I was always a mom.
JB said on there, flour and rice last practically forever. And you're right. I have 5-gallon buckets that have rice, flour, raw sugar, and every kind of dry bean you can think of. I don't care what happens, we will eat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm the same way. You know, one of the interesting things when all this happened, I'd been stocked up with everything anyhow, because that's what I've always done. Right. And I buy a lot of rice because rice, well, you know, you can, it doesn't go bad. Rice does not go bad. And I have flour and rice. I have all the basics, you know. Yeah. And, I even had 5 years worth of toilet paper way before this ever happened. You know, this, and people say, oh, well, you must have, I said, no, I had been, you know, I always had a supply, maybe not 5 years, but I had a few months at least, you know, and,
and everybody got so wigged about that, you know, and everything. And I, you know, it's like, what? Okay. So I have a standing order. So I have a case that just shows up every couple of months, you know, it's just how I do it. But, you know, in a worst case scenario, listen to me. People did not always have toilet paper, and they found a way, you know.
Back in my day, we had an outhouse, and they used corn cobs or the Penny catalog, you know. So, you know, my grandma, she had an outhouse, and they had well water, and that was what I grew up with: well water and an outhouse, and their heating was coal stoves in the kitchen and coal stove in the living room. And that was how we lived. And I loved it. And I miss well water. I think one thing I miss the most is well water. I love well water.
Nothing tastes better than well water. And it is always so cold. My God.
So good. So good. Well water. I love all of that. You know, I think getting back to a simplified life, I'm really at 63 years old. You know, I told my husband, I said, you know, I want to buy a motor home again, or camper or something like that. I want to go simple, even if it's just a camper, because we don't know what's going to really happen in the world and all that. I said, I want a backup. I want something where, we can move around if we want, a more
Hey, Gil Skills is in the house. Gil Skills Live.
Welcome.
Awesome.
Let me see.
Welcome, Gil Skills Live.
Let me see where I'm at here. Let me see. Live. Would you like to come up here? You're welcome to come up here. Anybody is welcome to come up here. Actually, I'm going to put the link in. There we go. Welcome. And JB Rand says that no toilet paper is just code for saying goodbye socks.
That's right. That's what I said. I said, set a bucket beside your toilet, get a little bleach water in there.
Yep.
You've got some kind of fabric around your house, use it, drop it in the bucket, and then go wash it.
Yep. And you know what people did back in my day too is that they thank you, Gil. Thank you, but you're welcome to come up. What they did in my day, they turned their garages into guest houses. People, once you get to a certain age and they wanted to move out but couldn't afford it, you just converted your garage.
Yeah.
Hey, Humble Barista's in the house. Hey, how you doing, Humble Barista?
Hello, barista. Welcome.
Welcome.
But yeah, we did all kinds of innovative things that people don't know today. And my first car was a 1965 Chevy Red Impala, and it roared through town, and we paid $75 for it, and it would smoke as I would go through town. And I came from humble beginnings. People say, oh, you don't know what. Listen, I came from poor. We were poor. We were the poor people.
Listen, and look, redneck engineering happened at our house. I remember an old Lincoln that my daddy had, and I'm not kidding you. It had some baling twine in the engine holding some parts together,
Oh, absolutely. We always had the $75 car, and it always had rust. The rust, it was always rusted. And we grew up with that poor, I grew up with every kind of grits you could make, everything with grits and cornmeal. We grew up with cornmeal fried mush. We grew up with all of that stuff, pancakes, whatever. You made it all by hand. You made it all homemade. And I think the biggest, the worst thing today for today's society is that kids today are addicted to the virtual world, and they're addicted to the virtual world in such a way that it has taken over their life to the point that they have no real life. And I see it so sad. It's so sad. And it's not just kids, it's adults too. Mm-hmm. And I'm a person. When I get off of here, I'm running, I'm cleaning, I'm my house, I'm painting, I'm cooking, I'm doing real things. Doing real things. I may have YouTube on in the background. I may listen to other people. I may jump on, but I live a real life, a real life. I go out in my garden. You need quiet time in your life. I have to have quiet time, otherwise I get rattled. And I have to have my quiet time. I go in my bedroom, I sit in my bed, I go out to my garden, I go for my run. I have to have quiet time. And that's when all the pieces of the puzzle come together in your life.
Right. You know what? Because this is what I do. I love to mow yards, and I know that sounds like really kind of silly and stuff, but I love to mow yards. So in the country like this, we have big yards. So between mine and my mom and dad's yard, because they're elderly now, you're talking about 3 acres of yard that I mow every week. And I love it because there's something about getting on a motorized piece of equipment that's got twin whirling blades that makes people stay away. Think,
I agree. I love to mow grass. I love out there with the push mower. I do the push mower. I do the
push mower.
People say you must have a maid. You must have no, I am the maid. I am the gardener. I am the cook. I am, I'm all of that because I love to fold laundry. I love
folding. I love doing laundry in general.
Okay, well, you can come hang out at my house and do mine next. But
Very,
yeah, I can't do a push mower.
This is Jay.
Hey, JB Rance, welcome.
Hey, man.
How you doing?
Well, how is everyone? There's so much good flow going on here. I just kind of wanted to come on for like 5 minutes and say hello.
Yeah, we're doing good. Just chilling, being here with all you guys. Great company.
So tell us what you think, JB. Let's hear your take on life in general.
Well, I will be censored. I will be self-censoring because if you guys watch my channel, you'll understand I'm a little bit controversial. But I love because I do politics and stuff. But I love conversations like this. I heard talking about eating off of grits. You know what the one thing, not the one thing that I mainly miss about, I don't have any grandparents anymore, but my grandmother on my mother's side, fresh baked bread. No one knows how to, I don't know how to, I'm a cook. Like I'm not a cook professionally, but I know how to cook. I don't know how to make a loaf of bread like my grandmother knew how to make in the frickin' wood-fired oven. Come on, everything these days, microwaves are not something I really associate with. Yeah.
Oh,
wow,
I agree. Yeah, I mean, Cynthia's a farm gal, and I grew up poor and in a small country town. So, we understand that. People say, well, you don't know what it's like to, I know exactly what it's like. And I love it. I taught my kids how to live poor. I say, let me teach you how to live poor, because you never know what's going to happen in life. And if you don't know how to live poor, you're going to go hungry. And I taught them how to make fried grits, fried mush, how to take potatoes, and you can live off of a bag of potatoes for 2 weeks if you know how to do it. Make homemade bread, have flour. You can make homemade noodles. I mean, there's so much that you can do.
Hey, Vicky Cash, thank you for coming in. Welcome.
JP, I don't know if I've been on your live streams or not. I don't know. Tell me now, we don't go into detail, because I'm not a political channel or anything like that. I'm an informational channel, and so I limit what we talk about here. But can you give us a synopsis without going, either way, into what your channel is about?
Yeah, my synopsis for my channel is I question every single narrative that the mainstream corporate media puts out there. And when you dig behind certain stories and do it like I've done for 20 years, your world, or I'm not saying you, one's worldview, if you're open to letting go of preconceived notions, you learn a lot about yourself first and about the world around you second. And I'm actually going to step off here because, again, this is not my type of. I'm kind of like a. I'm kind of like. I'm sorry. Say it again.
How about this? Can you friend me over on Facebook and message me when you're going to be on, and so I can come over and view your stream, and maybe I'll even jump on with you if you do StreamYard at some point for a couple minutes or something like that. I don't know, because on my channel I don't discuss anything, but sometimes I give my perspective on other people's channels.
Yeah, absolutely. Send me the link
for sure.
Yeah, my channel is really inspirational, and we keep it that. But I do go on every kind of, well, not every kind of channel, but I do go on a lot of channels. And I've gone on the bickering channels, the bashing channels. Now, of course, I don't do that. I'm the one that's trying to make everybody get along. I'm saying, okay, let's all get along. Let's have pizza together. I'll teach you how to bake a pizza, that type of thing. But I do listen and I do learn. And so I want to come over to your channel and visit. So if you could friend me over on Facebook, I would appreciate that. And I don't know what your name is going to be over there. Is your name, is it going to be JB Rance, or what's it going to be?
I think the easiest way, if you want to write down, are you Diane Brienne Fairchild on Facebook?
Yep. I'm that everywhere. I was one of the foolish people that when I went on 4.5 months ago publicly, I've only been up 4.5 months, and I'm at over 6K. And so I grew rapidly, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I put my own name up here.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm my Facebook is JAYBELIVEAU. It's actually my real name. So
Okay.
I'll find you, and we'll find each other. But let me get off and just leave
Thank
with this.
Debbie, and I want to come over and visit your channel. Okay.
And I
Yeah.
have many
Thank
thoughts
you.
on very
Let me
various
before I
subjects.
get out of here, let me just leave with this.
Thank you.
People,
I love a good debate.
parents need, oh, sorry. I'm talking over people. I apologize.
That's okay. Go
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, all I was going to leave with is parents need to teach their kids how to fish, how to go fishing.
Absolutely.
It's not evil.
Absolutely.
It's
I
not
agree.
evil.
I agree.
It's a skill, and it's a survival skill, and it brings families together, and you can get food from it. You know, that's all. So
And my
I'll jump on.
love you for that because he's a fisherman. Thank you,
Yeah.
JP. Thank you. And I want to come to your channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good
Thanks,
one.
guys.
Peace out.
He's right.
Awesome.
Fishing is all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. You know, my oldest son fishes. He could spend his lifetime just fishing. And I think he needs to become a fisherman because I think that's his calling. And you know, what you love, you should be doing more of. And what you don't like, you should be withdrawing from, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And so we need to find our passion because our divine assignment is often tied up to our passion. And so we've got to remember that. And what is it that you love? What is it that you love, Scott? What is it that you love to do? What is it that you love, Cynthia? What is it?
I love to fish. I love to everything nature. I love to learn how to hunt. I just found out like 2 hours ago that my neighbor right next door to me owns like acres and acres of land, and he has like an ATV and all kinds of stuff out that way. So he asked me for my information so he can say, hey, if you need anything, just let me know. Right. So I want to get out there, and I got a whole bunch of tackle and fishing rods, but there isn't anyone out here like right where I'm at right now to actually fish. Where I was at like 7 years ago, I could like fish 24/7. It was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
So it's getting back out there in nature and embracing nature again.
Get connected with your passion, and you will find your divine assignment and get connected with your passion. And many of the problems that a person has will be resolved. So often people are moving away from their passion because they're trying to do the quote right thing. And when they're moving away from and I'm not talking about romantic passion and, you know, the negative passion. I'm talking about passion. Spiritual passion. When you are meant to go in a direction and you're moving away from it, your blessings also move away from you. When you move into your divine assignment, you will find your own unique blessings that are designed for you on your path of your divine assignment. When you move away from your divine assignment, whatever that happens to be, you will find chaos and confusion and unhappiness. So, and part of your divine assignment is to do with your passion. And also sometimes part of our divine assignment is to do with what we don't like. We are there like doctors. Like I said the other day, doctors often don't like sickness, so they became a doctor to fix. So we have to remember what our passions are. But when we're drawn to something, so often people feel bad. Oh, I feel bad. I'm drawn to, I don't want to be a fisherman. I mean, I love being a fisherman, but I feel like I should go be a bricklayer. And if you love being a fisherman, find a job that you love to fish where you can make money.
Yep.
Yeah, when you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yep. Yep.
Hey,
and you're out there in your own element. Like when you're doing what you're passionate about, it gives. That's where I found my center. That's when I have that quietness of mind, right? And I can gather my thoughts and get my stuff back together and just go back to what I need to going back to, right? That's why I love being a creator. When I'm creating and I'm being interactive with nature, I'm being interactive with you guys. You know, I'm in my element and I can do that, right? So
we're having a time. Absolutely. What were you saying, Cynthia?
I said I hate to do it, but I do have the other half of that yard out there waiting on me. I've got to go get that done before it gets dark.
Because we're all going to get off in here. I got to go take my son to work, and I've got college work to do. I've got like about 4 or 5 hours of homework to do, and I want to make a couple 5-minute videos because I got a couple good topics to put up. Yesterday, I fell through the chair. I don't know if y'all saw that video. I was cleaning my windows, and the chair caved out, and I fell through the chair. So I put that video up. You know, I just put all my videos up. So I'm going to go do a couple 5-minute videos, do my homework. I think we're going to go out to dinner or something like that. I don't know what. We're going to get some takeout or something.
Sounds great.
Scott, thank you. And Scott, the way we're going to work it is once you get this all straightened out technically, then we'll come on over to your stream. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got to build your connections. Cynthia is Cynthia Redneck Pizzazz. It's all one word. Cynthia Redneck Pizzazz. And Scott is what is your name of your channel, Scott? It's the I can't remember.
Oh, Scott's channel and the Scott Kovac channel.
Right. Okay.
Or on Facebook. Even on Facebook?
Yes.
I have my Scott's Thoughts page, and then I have me here. I'm Scott Kovac.
Okay.
Scott Kovac on Facebook.
Well, you know what? Being that I had no plans on coming on here today live, I had no plans whatsoever. It was the spur of the moment thing because you were having technical difficulties, Scott. And so this is more of a shorter one, although I don't know how short it was. I think we've been on here an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. Yeah, we've been on here a while for a short
it's been
one.
good.
Yeah,
no, it's been good.
So I know we're all, busy and have busy lives. And I thank everyone who came in the stream. There's Kahiv is here. Did I miss anybody? Vicky, Humble, JB is still here. Thank you, JB. And I want to come to your channel. And thank you, everybody that came on, even though it was a moment's notice. Most people didn't know I was coming on because, I'm trying to take a rest from the live streams and just focus on my 5-minute videos right now and support other people's channels. So I go on a lot as a guest on other people, a guest panelist with other people. And so that I can have a little bit of a rest to focus on my college work and my birthday on Tuesday. So anyhow, but I love you all. Thank you, Cynthia. You're amazing. And I love you. Thank you, Scott. Let's work out those 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We can be on there together, all of us. Love you. Love you. Thank you, everyone in the stream. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, Gina. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Love
Thank
you all.
Everybody. Love you all much. So remember, from my house to your house. May God bless you.
To your house.
And I hope to talk to y'all soon again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.